Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Edith Espinola, and as part of the Productivity Committee, we have a monthly top producer interview, and this month we have Heidi Moran. Heidi comes from Tacoma, Washington. Whoop, whoop. Heidi comes from Tacoma, Washington, where she was a top producing agent, and now she's here as our assistant team leader. So I want to talk to her about what her life was like before becoming management, and then what it was that she could, what tips can she give us? So one of the things I really want to focus on is the fact that this woman is going through change, right? I mean, how many of us feel really comfortable with change? Right. Nobody's raising their hand. So I think it's really amazing that she's coming here and she's going to help us make some change because it's something she's doing right now and is learning great tips about it. So please help me welcome Heidi Moran. So welcome to the Bay Area States. And so Heidi, what did you do before real estate?
Oh, okay, we're going right there. Okay.
Yeah.
So I have to say first, I'm the weirdo that would have been that I love change, but transition is the part that none of us like, right? So new things are always fun, but getting from the old thing to the new thing is the part that's the berries, right? So that was tough. So what I did before, I did a lot of things. I started working when I was 14 years old, and I'm 46, so it's been a minute.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just kidding.
What do you want to know?
So,
everything was legal.
Yeah, thank God, because I don't think I could say the same thing.
Yeah.
So I guess what careers did you have prior to joining real estate that helped to bring the skill of selling and helping people?
Well, I think like you guys probably feel the same. Everything that we've done in life has led us to where we are, and we can pull from everything we've learned, good, bad, or indifferent. So I think the thing that I draw upon the most is for years I was in vocational church ministry. I know, save your shock for later. For over 10 years, I was, that's what I did for money, was I worked in a mega church in the Northwest and was part of our creative teams. And before that, I volunteered for years and years. Since I was 12, I joined my first worship band at 12 years old.
What did you play?
Piano.
Oh, cool.
And sing. So I'm naturally a very shy person. And so today, the meeting, thank you for being so gracious. I was dying a million deaths. That's not my thing. I can do this all day and teach a class and sing in front of 1,000 people, but talking to a room full of people is crazy.
Did she do a great job, though?
So that's one of my old bosses used to say, you know, you have to act like a duck, where on the surface, the water is smooth, the duck's just floating along, but underneath the feet are going like this. the duck feet are paddling like crazy. So in ministry, what you quickly find out is nothing's about you, nothing. So at least the ministry that I was a part of, it was others. I was raised by a pastor for a dad. And that's not what it sounds like. He was a rough guy at home, and he was Mr. Personality at church. So we had this sort of dual reality growing up in our lives. So we had to be highly adaptable. Mm-hmm. We had to always be on our toes. There was never a point in my, up to the time where I lived outside of my home, where I ever relaxed, ever. So I had to learn how to be at peace and relax as an adult that I didn't learn when I was a kid. So that makes you like this all the time, right? And so as an agent, that's the good side. That's the side of the moon that we like to look at, mm-hmm. where we're like, what can I do for you? And you're highly responsive, but that comes from a place of being on your toes all the time and on edge. So I had to learn, in my years of being in church ministry, how to be on my toes without being intense and off-putting or over the top, or being a tension-filled person where other people would feel tense. I had to learn as an adult how to help other people relax and have a good time. So that's where I learned that skill there in that environment where it translates to real estate beautifully.
That's great. I mean,
we went there, didn't we? We went right there.
Yeah, we went right there, which is awesome. So
She's like
one,
Oprah.
I can't help singing in my head, Son of a Preacher Man.
Uh-huh.
And then number two, when I think about what that must have been like for you to have to be one way outside representing a certain status quo, and then being at home and having to be on your toes because you can't rock what's the boat, right?
Right.
I love that coming from such a difficult situation that you've looked and you found that you saw the strength for you to be adaptable.
Yeah.
And that's what you bring to your real estate business. And that's actually what you bring to your life, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine that you could have a conversation with just anybody.
Yeah, now.
And make them feel at ease.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
took a long time. I've always loved people and liked people, but I didn't know how. I was so shy, so shy, that I did not, even when it was my job to go and approach people and talk to people, I would rather just go in the bathroom and throw up. Like, I didn't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And because when somebody makes you, it obligates you to do something, you just figure it out, right? So boss says, I got to go talk to people. I got to figure this out. So I would go and start being what I would call a noticer. And there's a really great book called The Noticer, if you've ever heard of it. It's great. Where you start to kind of be in the world of other people habitually. At first it takes time because you're in your own little shyness or insecurities about, as a realtor, what do I know about the market that, this person over here probably knows more than I do, and I'm competing against them, and you get so much inside yourself. But when you become a noticer and a listener, like we heard about earlier today, you start to be in the world of other people, you forget about yourself. And then you're not feeling nervous, you're not feeling shy, you're actually going, oh, what's going on with you?
Mm-hmm.
Like what you do.
What?
She's one too. She's a noticer.
Right. So the way that I look at it is I'm an observer.
Right.
Right? So I even observe my own situation.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm looking to see what the situation is and how I'm responding to it. And how I'm responding is wanting to be in support of whatever the situation is to get it to its best point, right? Which is one of the things that I think that we connect on is because we always look for the highest good for all.
Yeah, how do we make things better?
Right. And that being strong enough to support the other person in what they need to do and not make it about us, but make it about them, which is probably why you were in the top 2.5%, isn't it?
I didn't mean to be. That's the. I did.
And this is kind of funny.
Truth.
Go ahead, tell.
It's so funny because
I know.
when I became a real estate agent, it was never about money ever. I was like, if I could even meet my bills, to me that would be great. I wanted to serve people, so I made my focus. How do I figure out what people need and give it to them in the shortest amount of time with joy? Like how do we make this process, which by the way, if you've ever bought or sold a home, it's intimidating. There's all these what ifs, there's all these scenarios and all these other people involved in your failure or success, and it can be really scary. But my mission became, how do we have fun? How do we make every single step super fun and clear so that we've answered questions before they had to be asked? How do we have such an impeccable attitude about how we treat people at every single step, and do they know what the process is so that they can just pick out their furniture for their new place and talk about how to get engaged in the neighborhood and things like that. That was the mission. So I didn't plan on making a bunch of money, and I didn't even know in our office that we had rankings. I didn't care. And then one of the guys in our office said, Heidi, you're on the list. I'm like, what list? So he ran over and showed me on this bulletin board, and that was my first year. And we're looking, and we go, as it gets to the top, it's this big print, and as it goes down, it gets smaller. And he's like, there you are. Like, I put my glasses on, but there you are. Right? Like, I think I was number 100 or something like that. I'm like, I don't
Top
even know.
100. That's pretty
I don't
good.
even know what that means, but okay, thanks. That's exciting. And I thought, maybe I should be paying attention to this. So I started paying attention to the numbers because I also had a great mentor. And I really encourage people, if you don't have a productivity coach or a mentor or somebody who's looking after your business, helping you be a business owner, I could not, no way, have done what I did without that. No way. So that helped me to be responsible for numbers as a business owner, because I was just a do-gooder at the moment. And then I started realizing, oh crap, I have to run a business and stuff. So
Right. So you actually went from entrepreneurial to purposeful, right?
Yeah.
You went from
Yeah.
E to P and realized what you need to do. And so did you find that you started to implement systems?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So
Which one was the most difficult?
part of the difficulty was letting go of doing it someone else's way. That was the difficult one, because I started on a team where the team, I was one of the first 6 people. Now they're like 40, 50 people big. It was a machine where you come in with this end and they spit you out that end and you're successful, but you have to look like them. And I was like, that's not my tendency. I don't want to be a conformist and da-da-da. So I thought, in order to be a successful real estate, I have to spend 2 hours every morning making cold calls. And I'm like, I think I'm out. I don't want to do that. So I had to figure out something that looked like me. But here's the other part of that. I had to learn how to stop being afraid of that, because that's really what it came down to. It wasn't that I couldn't make a phone call. It's that I was intimidated and scared. And I personally, if I'm scared of it, I'm going to do it, unless it's jumping out of a plane or off a bridge. Not doing those, but everything else.
Okay,
yeah.
so we'll just cross off the bungee jumping
Not
party.
doing it. Not doing it. Not jumping out of a plane. But everything else, if it scares me, I'm signing up. So I got comfortable doing cold calls, but I started being really focused on what is the least amount of financial outlay for the biggest reward, what's working. So I start tracking.
So before we go further, I kind of want to stick around the topic of fear. Okay? This is something that every one of us knows completely what it feels like to have fear over doing something new to create success in our business. So do you have any recommendations on how to ease into the comfortable spot of being uncomfortable and learning how to face fear?
Yeah, I mean, you can't philosophically learn that and have it be transformational in your life. It happens in real time, boots on the ground actions that you take. So I didn't get comfortable meeting people I didn't know by thinking differently about it. I got comfortable by meeting people I didn't know. And then just deciding that it was okay that I was awkward the first time. It was okay that it was awkward the first time I led today's meeting. It was a little awkward. It's okay.
Oh, yeah,
It'll
totally.
get better.
You did great.
Well, that's sweet. But
You did great.
But
It was your first time.
Yeah, it was my first
right? You did great. Yeah. You faced your fear and you did it anyway.
Yeah.
So the
That's
word
what
for
it
that
is.
is courageous,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it sounds like you actually practice being courageous very much so in your life.
A lot. Yeah, and because fear used to be such a driving force to keep me away from things, I thought I'm going to either use it that way or be used by it that way, or I'm going to use it to drive me forward. And that is huge. If fear is the thing that causes you to engage instead of disengage, you can use it instead of being used up by it. And it is energizing, and it's taking something and going from fear to thrill. Thrill still has elements of fear, right? Roller coasters. I know pretty much most of the time I'm not going to go flying off the roller coaster tracks, but there's just enough possibility of that you're like screaming and there's slobber and you a little bit pass out, but it's thrilling. It's not fear only, it's the thrill. And that's, to me, I think, now I have to ask myself, and you can ask yourself, how much of what I'm doing is actually scary? Could I call this thrilling? Because thrilling is fun.
Absolutely.
Right.
And the energy of fear and the energy of excitement feel the same way.
Yeah.
So it's all a matter of changing your mindset to say, I'm not scared, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Like you, I don't have fear, I am thrilled.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, and the roller coasters aren't they don't last for 5-6 months.
No, they don't.
It's seconds, and everything that we're afraid of typically happens in degrees of seconds and maybe minutes. But and then we're still here after it, and we learn something. So I think being motivated to what's on the other side of that will continue to drive you forward. Using that fear to push you forward. There's something incredible on the other side of that.
So stepping away from real estate for a moment.
Have we talked about real estate?
Not really, but this is what I want to talk about.
Right, yeah.
So what can you pick an instance in your life where everything looked like it wasn't going the way you wanted it to, and that once you stepped into being courageous, how it actually was the avenue for you to get to where you needed to? Do you have an instance that you could share?
Oh, yeah, 100%. And oddly, it does have to do with real estate.
Perfect.
So, yeah. So I, without getting into the story too much, had a really rough time in my life where my family was,
Okay.
And I went, okay, I had a full-time job, and I had to work. I mean, my job was like an executive level job where I was responsible for a lot of people and a lot of things. But at the end of the day, you go home and it's quiet, or on the weekends, or if you have one day off, and it's deadly quiet. And I went, I can't make it if I just have this much quiet. So my kids were, they're 22 and 20 now, so I think they're mid-teens, and I told them I got to get a second job just to keep my mind right. You can take care of stuff. They've been self-sufficient for a long time by then. So a friend of mine, she said, you could do showing specialist work as a realtor, where you don't have to leave your job. You can do this on weekends and evenings for other realtors. You can just go open doors, but you have to get your license. And I was at the time even looking at maybe working at Macy's or something like that after hours, just get some extra hours and not have downtime at that time, because I couldn't deal with downtime. And I ended up signing up to get my real estate license in late November that year. And the team I was going to join said, if you fast track it and get your real estate license before the year's over, I'll pay for it.
Nice.
So I went, okay, well, I'm going to pass the first time, and I'm going to fast track it while I'm working, while I'm a single mom, while I'm going through all this. I was in the middle of the last stages of a really painful divorce. So I'm like, I'm doing this because nobody's there to tell me I can't. So
isn't that amazing?
I know, right?
It's
and
like,
even if they
nobody
were,
can tell me.
No,
Right.
I knew I needed to do it. So I had just a little bit of money. And I took that money and I was chips in for me. Like, I don't know about you guys, but there's not very many moments in your life where you go, I'm betting on me. Other people can say, hey, good job, you can do it, or you're always there to tell other people they can do it. But when it's just you and you in the mirror and you go, I can do it, or I'm gonna do it, sink or swim, and you chips in. I went down to literally my last dollar to get my real estate license. And the team leader that I had, because I didn't get my test scheduled till after the first year, didn't pay for my school. So I went, that's all right, I'm doing it anyway. So it was one of those things.
I mean, it's,
yeah, crummy.
That action says so much about that person, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd say that is not in integrity, right?
No.
That's not the KW culture.
It isn't.
Right? So I'm sorry that you had to deal with that.
Thanks.
But congratulations for continuing to go forward, right?
At that
because
point,
it was about you.
He was just a bump at that point. I'm like,
Yeah.
whatever. There's so many bigger things. And that I think that's the thing in life where you go, we're always being told to figure out what's our one thing. I don't really still know what my one thing is, but I know what the big thing is. Like, there's bigger things. So,
I would love to sit down with you and help you find to describe that one thing, because it's actually pretty huge.
Yeah. I know who I am in the world, and that's the other thing that I discovered in the last few years. Who I am in the world is to connect people to what's important to them. That's clear. That's what my life's always been. I finally was able to define it a few years ago. So why do I want to be part of something like this? I had a business, my family, my friends, everybody. I'm pointing this way. Is that north? Which way's north?
South.
I don't even know.
That side.
Everybody's up there somewhere. Why in the world would you do that? Because there's something more. There's something bigger. And you guys have, know this maybe to the degree that you can see it from the outside, but this is huge what you have here by way of a strong market center that's strong where it is, but it's going somewhere really incredible. And I was like, I'm willing to leave production and family and friends to come be part of this so that you can have your unfair share of this. That I'm super committed to that. So that's why I'm here. And if there's a resource you don't have, let's get it. And if there's an encouragement you need, if you want to just come and whatever, let's connect you to whatever that thing is. And that's why I moved to California, no joke.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's perfect, right? Because I know that our market centers are viewed as powerful, successful, and the ones to watch out for, right? Like, we have a really great reputation out there. So, you made an excellent choice in coming here, and you do have the ability to see somebody, and you do have the ability to look at them and say, I see your strengths, and I can help you get to where you want to go.
Yeah.
Right? Because I know that we've already kind of done that together. And so I think that in the role that you're at here, that's wonderful and amazing. And what would you like to see this market center turn into? Dream big.
Yeah. Just met with somebody last week who's going to be joining the market center, and when they heard, we got to meet with Mark. When he and I met with Mark, this guy had literal stars in his eyes. He got it. He got the benefit. He got what's going on here. I want to see stars in everybody's eyes about your business, this place, what you can get out of it. And I think that this is such an untapped resource. It makes me a little crazy. So I'm like, I know where I've come from. I know a lot of us in this room have been at other places, but I want to make sure everybody has that light in their eyes about, I'm onto something here. And I'm having a good time doing it, and I don't mind the struggle. The struggle is real, and we're never going to skip over that. But let's see what we can do with it and move towards something bigger and better. And it's not about numbers ever for me. It isn't. It's about, I am tasked with number-related things, but if we grow, we're going to grow because it's a meaningful connection that people make with this place, whether it's because it's the best place to be producing agent. If that's their motivation, they're gonna connect and stick here because they're gonna have every resource that it takes. If it's that they need connection because this is a fun place to be, we're gonna make sure and connect them to all the fun people that we can find, which is everybody. Everybody's so nice here. So everybody has their own motivation.
Maybe not everybody.
Yeah, they are.
I'm teasing.
We'll make them nice.
No, everybody here is very nice. That's one of the things I love about our offices.
Yeah, and I would say in our last office when I joined there, I was amazed because this is a Keller Williams thing typically across the board, but even though we're technically each other's competitors, there's such a attitude of helpfulness here. Like, if you were competing in the car business or some other business, I promise you people are not going to stop their production to help you be successful. When I joined Keller Williams in Tacoma, I asked an agent a question. That agent stopped to help me, and then another agent heard us talking, came over to help, and by the time the conversation had wrapped up, there were 6 people sort of leaning on desks and sitting there and having a conversation about how to best get this offer accepted. I was like, what is going on here?
It's
this
amazing,
is really
isn't
cool.
it?
Yeah, and then I heard people that came into our office and said, nobody wants to help me. Everybody's so unfriendly. I was like, oh, it's who you are. You get out of places who you already are, and what you are attracts more of the same. So I think because I had this sort of open-handed, open-minded approach, like, I didn't have any expectation that people would or wouldn't help me. I kind of thought they wouldn't, so they pleasantly surprised me. But if you are unfriendly or unhelpful, then people will appear to you unfriendly and unhelpful.
Right. So
that's just philosophical.
No, I'm going to go even more philosophical here. Everybody that we encounter and we meet is a reflection of who we are. So if we have happy people in our lives, that usually tells us that we're happy. right? Have you guys ever heard that if you hang out with 5 broke people, you're going to be the 6th one, right? If you hang out with 5 rich people, you're going to be the 6th one, right? So here we are, you're hanging out with inspired people, right? So you're going to be the 6th one, right? So for you, you have such, and you know, this is who you are. You have such a way of wanting to help that you, of course, are going to get people who want to help you come up to you.
Yeah. I would love help.
Yeah, absolutely, right? I mean, getting help is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I love doing things together. I think collaborating, doing things together, and that's when you start having a conversation. If you and I have a conversation, which we have, and it was wonderful. If a third person comes into that, it changes the whole thing. Have you ever heard of the third personality? There's when 2 people have a conversation, there's your personality and mine. As soon as you add a third and more, a group, the group has its own personality. It's really interesting to watch. So you have a personality in this room, and that's what happens when everybody starts to share, and there's this dynamic back and forth. And what if we tried that? Yeah, we should try that. And what if we did this? Oh wait, no, that I've tried that didn't work. But what if we did this? And this synergy and this creativity that comes up, like, absolutely, it's not just helping me when you help me. It's helping you because when you teach, you learn, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's
I could go on, but I'm stifling myself.
Please don't. Please don't.
Yeah.
Continue.
Well, and I think that's, again, goes back to the real estate numbers is I didn't just be friendly and have business. I had to learn stuff, right? I had to be around great minds. I had to think like a business person, which I never thought of. Didn't think like that before. I always worked for someone else. I was shocked to find out that I was a business owner after I'd been a realtor for about 6 months.
You know what? I was surprised. I was surprised too. How many of you guys actually were kind of surprised to accept that you're a business owner instead of just a realtor? How many? Right?
Yeah.
That's
I'm
huge.
so glad to see that because I thought it's just me.
No. And you know what's beautiful about you, Heidi, is that you're talking about things that you've gone through and that you felt, and you're just speaking what other people have experienced. So thank you for being, open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're kind of like Oprah that way. Like, as soon as you sit down, you just want to say it all. But, yeah. Stinker.
You're so funny.
But yeah, so you have to learn your business. You're responsible, and you're responsible for being a business owner. And then you start to realize, as you start to get some headway in your business, other people are looking at it and wondering why. And it can't be personality based. I remember hearing that when I was the first agent, and somebody said, "Well, you can't be a personality agent." I'm like, "Damn it! That's all I know how to do." And then I had to learn and have some humility and go, I need to know what to say. I need to do scripts. I resisted scripts like the plague because to me, I want to come from such a genuine place all the time. It felt like contrived or that's someone else's words. But what I realized was that is an educated answer. That's what that is. I would just love to call it something else. I haven't come up with something as short as the word scripts yet to replace it. But what it is you're a professional. You should have a professional sounding answer. And people have real legitimate questions, and they need to have real legitimate answers. So as a real estate agent, you need to learn those scripts so that you have something to say. And by the way, we all have scripts whether they came from someone else or not. It's just a matter of how effective are they. They might be mine, but if there's a better way of saying it in a shorter amount of time, I want to do that one. If it's going to serve the client. That's what they do. They serve the client.
Right. And I love that you're, saying that it's an educated script, right? Because those scripts were created by the top agents within Keller Williams.
Yeah.
Right? So that's where those scripts come from. That's how come they work.
Yeah. They tried stuff.
Right. Absolutely.
I can't afford to try stuff when, for whatever reason, I don't know if you're the only earner in your household or you're one of more than one. But if I'm going to show up and do it, I want to make the most of it. I'm not trying to spend time away from my family unnecessarily or waste time. Like, I want to make the time I spend away from my kids count. So whether you have to pay the bills on your own or not, that's enough motivation usually. They're going to take my house and car away if I don't learn something here. Or if it's time, I love my family. I love my friends. So if I'm going to be doing this, I better have something to show for it.
Mm-hmm. So it sounds like what you've done is you've put the appreciation of time as a very high level of importance to you, because if you're going to be doing something, you want to be purposeful in it, right?
Oh, yeah. Because at the end of the day, you either have results or you don't. You do or you don't. I mean, it's not personal. It's just, numbers tell a very non-emotional story, don't they?
Right, absolutely.
But they do tell a story. So I can say at the end of the day, if I did this, it should produce that. And if it's not, let's look at how I'm doing it to make sure that we can tweak it a little bit. That's what the 4 Conversations does. We don't have a...
It's right here.
It is, but it looks different. I have one that's the simplified one, the CGI. Has everyone done their CGI? I did that 2 years ago. My business was doing this. It was doing fine. As soon as I started focusing on appointments, it went like that. No joke. Because it was measurable, it was simple, it was one goal, get an appointment. Once I got the appointment, what do I say? And then that's where the collaboration comes in. What's working? What do I say? Bring a friend with you if they want to come with you, whatever. But it was focusing on appointments, and business just got easier, more fun, and went like that. So those numbers are not there to make you feel crappy. And
They're not.
I know, weird, right? Because to me, I'm very competitive in some ways. I love sports and all that kind of stuff, but I don't like feeling like I'm competing against people. That makes sense.
Right, but you compete against yourself, yesterday's self.
All day long. To me, the numbers used to have, and it's all mindset. Again, they used to represent something negative, like I'm better than you or you're better than me. It's not that at all. They're just telling a non-emotional story, and they're the results of what you did.
Awesome.
So they can. It's a lot more fun when they're telling a good story, right? When they're telling a story of productivity with your time.
Right. So what pillar was your business built on?
Open houses, 100%.
Open houses?
What
was your
not
script?
100%, but that's where I felt the most strength.
And that's where you would gain new clients?
Yeah, and that came by tracking. By the way, guys, if you're not tracking where your business is coming from, I really strongly suggest you do, especially now that we're at the beginning of a new year, and look at, was it repeat referrals for people who've been in the business a while? Was it cold calling? Was it door knocking? Was it whatever it was? And what you can do with that information at the end of a season of time is you can, okay, this is the thing that cost me the least amount of money, feels like the most fun, and is bringing in the most money. So I'm going to keep doing that, of course. And then I'm going to look at the other things and go, do I need to learn how to do that better so that can be another leg of my business, or am I okay to cut that all together and let that, quit chasing that part of my business? So they're looking at that stuff in review. But open houses were, I had, again, great mentors, great training. I was in a team where it was a 50-50 split, and I had inside that team a mentor that was, we were required to have an additional mentor as a brand new agent, which was...
That's the same here, the first 3 transactions.
But on a team, and that.
Oh, and it was,
yeah,
okay.
And that was another 15%.
Wow.
And you know what? Worth every penny. Doesn't matter, because it shot me into my career in a way that there's no way I would have figured that out that fast. And so the fact that I made any money, think about this, like you pay money to get an education, don't you? Everywhere else. In real estate, we have this wild expectation that we should come into real estate and people should pay us to learn. I think there's a great hybrid of that. We get a chance to still earn money, and maybe not 100% right out of the gate, but the education is completely invaluable of how it sets you up for your future. So if you're resisting that because you think, well, I don't want to give my money away, it's like, no, that's your education.
Yeah, and I do, I can speak to the reason why some people feel uncomfortable or even don't like having to pay a mentor.
Yeah.
I think it's the way that the mentor helps you, whether or not you feel like they educated you or they just did the transaction instead of teaching you and just took your money.
I have something to say about that. So in my team, I had the team, and then they chose a mentor for me, and that guy he was not an out loud thinker. he would want you to learn it, but he wouldn't process with me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I need to learn this stuff, and he would either just do it himself or get irritated that I didn't know how to do it. But he was not an instructor. He was not a teacher. He was not a coach. And so I said, nope, I'm not learning what I need. Here's the thing, guys. It's my business, and that's what I got really fast. This is my business. So if that mentor's not working for me, I need to find somebody who is going to do what I need them to do to build my business. So I found a different guy. That guy was awesome for me.
Yeah, when you have a great mentor, you could just soar.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we were friends too, so we're still friends this day. And like, we had a 6-month commitment. In 3 months, he went back to the team leader and said she doesn't need me anymore.
Nice.
But he stayed constantly available to me after that point because we had a friendship. So,
awesome.
I love to learn, and he was a great teacher, a modeler. Like, we'd go to open houses, I was right there with him all the time, and he was showing me what to do, and then going, okay, you take this one, you say it, you show him the upstairs. And that, to me, find someone who'll do that for you. It's your business, and it's your responsibility to find someone who will do that with you.
So what is your script at an open house?
It's different for every person that walks in. Isn't that weird? There's some things I always say.
Yeah. Well, we want to know what you say. I want everybody to walk away here and say, I'm going to do an open house this weekend, and I'm going to try this script.
And I will come with you. If you want me to come to an open house with you, I freaking love them.
I would take her up on that.
Yeah. It's fun.
Yeah.
And I got taught really well how to choose an open house, how to prep for an open house, what to do in the neighborhood before the open house, So if I'm coming with you, we're gonna talk for a while before, okay? But when people come in, I think of it this way. If we're inviting people into this room or into this building, if we said, hey, we want you to come by the office, where would we be standing? In the kitchen? No way. If we're asking somebody to come meet us at the office, would we, if nobody else was here?
At the lobby.
Be at the front door. Would we, how would we greet somebody if we wanted them to feel comfortable? Because here's the reality: when someone comes into someone else's house, it's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird. So how many people have you seen? I'm going to have to stand up for this.
That's okay.
How many people have you seen kind of go, hello?
Yeah.
I mean, literally bent in half. Like, scared to, respect. It's respect, because in this culture, and I don't know about how it is in other parts of the world, but we don't just march into people's houses and go, I'm here. We don't do that, right? So,
I do, but no.
You do. So, that would be the mindset of, okay, how am I going to help people get over their intimidation really fast? So let's say, who can I pick on? Okay, I'm picking on you. Mark, can you go out that door?
Yay, Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're used to that feeling.
Yeah. So if I see him coming, like from way, hey, I'm Heidi. What's your name?
Mark.
Mark, come on in. Welcome.
Thanks.
Let me show you around.
What do you got to eat?
Oh, wait, it's really good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So how did you find us today?
Let's see. I was just dropping my kid off at a birthday party. And
Great. How old is your kid?
12.
Boy, girl?
Boy.
Yeah. Great. And what birthday party for a friend of theirs?
Eric. Yeah, it's Eric's
Oh,
birthday.
nice. And
He's
do you live
12.
here in the neighborhood?
Oh, about a mile away, yeah.
Oh, great. So are you just checking out houses to check it out?
Yeah, just killing some time.
Great. So you own your home, or are you?
Yeah.
So the conversation could go on and on, but
Great.
the point is, when he first comes in the house, we're not having a business conversation. It's about him. And I think that's, to be able to, again, I'm nervous to do that, but the more times you do it over and over, and you literally pull people into your house, and you position yourself in the house, not like some real estate agents that are like peeking out the curtain to see who's coming. Have you seen it? Where you go up to the open house and they're kind of doing one of these, like pretending not to look. Just stay by. And I had this habit too when I had a big house to be in, especially if it was occupied. But if it was a big house, I would have agents there with me to trade off. One person would be the door, one person would be the inside of the house person. if it's occupied, then we don't want people taking stuff. But that's the thing. Like, somebody should be at the door going, "Hey, I'm so glad you made it, Cindy." Or, yeah, I don't know you, but like, "Hey, I'm Heidi. What's your name?"
Hi, I'm Cindy. It's so
Cindy,
good to see you.
welcome. And then I turn my body away from Cindy because that's another thing I learned. If you're like this is not very well done.
I'm confrontational.
Right? Yeah, I'm gonna
That's
fight
stopping
you.
me.
That's another reason to make her feel uncomfortable to come into someone else's house. So I'm welcoming her in, grabbing her hand and letting it go, turning my body away and pulling her in with.
So I want to know how you asked for contact info.
Okay. You're excused.
No.
Oh,
him.
I
want
have to
you
ask him?
I
I don't ask. And I don't ask if they have a realtor ever.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
So because we have some great technology, obviously, so my phone's around here somewhere.
Yeah, it's over.
Oh, here it is.
Oh, there it is.
So I will, a lot of times I'll have the what do you call it?
Kelly app?
Kelly app.
That too, but the flyer.
Home Snap?
The flyer.
The flyer.
Yeah, so I'll have the flyer and I'll say, "Hey, I've got information for you on this house, but I also have some others in the neighborhood. And oh, by the way, I don't know if you're really wanting to be curious today. I'm going to be done here at 4, and I can open any door for you. Not all of them have open houses today, but tell you what, let me shoot this flyer over to you, or somehow whatever conversation we're having, whether it's a home snap because you're a neighbor from a mile away."
Mm-hmm.
Get that sent out to them and tell you what, I'm going to, after you leave today, I have my laptop or my iPad or whatever I've got, and I'm going to see what other homes match what you're looking for, and I promise you I'll get back to you today.
Okay.
It's not about, can I get your number? It's, I promise you that I'm going to do something for you today. And I've had clients that, I had a buy-sell client in Tacoma that I got that way, and they had an agent that they were sort of not happy with, and they didn't have a buyer's agency agreement, and they were like, okay.
That's awesome. So
Yeah.
you were coming from a place of service.
Yeah.
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 Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Yay! That's awesome. So cool. So I just have to tell you, I've used that when I went to a wedding and there were a group of us people who had taken a group picture.
Oh, nice.
And I was like getting everybody's contact info to send them the picture. And one of the men that was there was so impressed with my style that he called me up using my number and asked me out on a date.
Okay.
Yeah, so it could go in either way.
Nice.
I mean, I was so used to it with real estate that it
Right.
shocked me that
Well,
but anyway,
and
that's so good.
that's a really good point. To make how you show up in real estate is how you show up everywhere.
Right. How you show up in business is how you
Get
show up everywhere,
uncomfortable.
right?
You can squirm all you want, but I'm right. Because, like, as I learned to be more confident in my professional life, I kind of stopped being intimidated by other people. And I think some of the decisions I made before, I would never make again because I was in a different place.
Right.
I was like, oh no, I don't have to be afraid of that. I don't have to be intimidated by that. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I started showing up differently. And I think you hear people say Keller Williams changes your life. Well, absolutely.
Absolutely. Has Keller Williams changed your life? Yes.
Yeah.
I know for sure it's changed mine.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Is there anything else that you really want to make sure that we know about you?
No. I mean, what do I want you to know? Shoot.
Well, I know that there's something. What do you want us to know about you, Heidi?
Let me think about that. Because I don't really think about that. I think about how do I get to know you guys and how do I help you be great.
So that's probably what you want us to know about you.
Yeah.
Is that, right?
Yeah.
If you guys are having a conversation with Heidi or you need to make an appointment, really come up and talk to her from your real soul being so that she gets to know who you are. Because when you show her who you are, she's going to help you figure out how to do your business according to who you are. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's what we want you want everybody to know is like, just come and be you.
Yeah, there's no pretense with me. I mean, I'm in a skirt and a suit jacket, but in my head, I'm in jeans and boots and a t-shirt. Like, it's super chill. This is for you. This is for you, not for me.
Yeah.
These are not for me, I promise. I'm not a high heels person. So, but I'm taking one for the team.
There you go. That's
Yeah.
what we love. That's
Yeah.
what we love.
But it gets real fast with me. So if you need to do a song and dance, I'll let you do it for a little while, and then we're going to get right to it. But, I had... That's fine. Whatever you need to do for a minute. And then I had an agent come in who she was struggling with asking for business at her open houses. And one of the things that we found out in a very short amount of time was you don't think that you deserve it. You don't think you deserve people's business. So the conversation went a little bit like this, and this is since I've been here, by the way. It's, now who are you? And do you have integrity in your life? I mean, do you tend to be a person that has integrity, or are you, always trying to get the upper hand on people? Who would you categorize yourself as? And she said, no, I try really hard to have integrity in all the things that I do. Great. So are you genuine? Are you fake? What are you? No, I'm real. Like, okay, so are you irresponsible with finances? Are you pay your bills? Like, so just started asking questions about her. I said, so would you want to do business with you? If you had an investment to make, would you choose someone like you? Well, yeah. I'm like, so why are you withholding somebody with integrity who has fiscal responsibility, who cares about people in a sincere way, who's sacrificial with their time? Why are you keeping somebody like that out of our industry or out of this person's life? You say you care about them, but you must not if you're not willing to share that person with them that intimately know is going to do a great job for them. And it was like, the moment, you feel it, right? Where you're going, am I? And that's, I think, a good question we have to all ask ourselves, and maybe if I could leave you with anything, it's that, is who are you? How do you behave? And would you want to work with somebody like you? And if you would, get over your damn self. Let them work with you and make that available to them. Get the obstacles out of the way, because the only one putting the obstacles there is us. It's our insecurity. It's our unbelief. Or maybe we just don't even take a minute to know who we really are and what we bring to the table. I would want to work with me. And I got real clear about that, and I make no apologies about that. I'm actually really excited to know that. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know until I really looked at it. I would work with me 10 times out of 10.
Right. Well, there's the Keller Williams class, the 6 personal perspectives of the higher achiever. Not just high achiever, but the higher achiever, right? And number 1 is self-mastery. So if you practice self-mastery, that means you know who you are, what your strengths are, and what you bring to the world. And so, knowing that, knowing that you actually like who you are and what you do and how you do business is very powerful, because that comes out, right? And then it's also about self-love and self-acceptance and self-awareness too.
Yeah. Usually
right?
we think self-acceptance is to accept our faults, but we have a harder time accepting our strengths.
Right.
And that was the thing that was cool for me, is to go, when I really did take a minute and look, I didn't look at what I said, I looked at what the trail was behind me. And I think we can look at that in our lives with our friends, our family, our business. What's happening in my wake? So looking back on what I actually did, not what I said I would do, but what did I actually do? Did I show up? Did I do everything that I could for that person? When I screwed up, did I own it? Was I responsible? Yeah, okay. Then I'm okay working with me, and I think you should be okay working with me. And I know I have so much to learn, by the way, so I'm never going to pretend I know stuff I don't. But I'm going to find out. So if you need something and I don't already know it, we'll find out and you'll have it. I know that. So let me be a resource to you guys, because your businesses, they matter. Your lives matter. And how I can help you show up here, I know it's going to show up everywhere else.
That's so awesome. Thank you.
It's fun.
It is.
Yeah.
Really quick questions. Does anybody have any? Yes.
This is really one thing.
Oh, she doesn't know that yet.
Come on. What happened?
Yeah, I think like you said, it's just living life as I'm meant to live it. It's not about, I know my kids are grown, they're going to be all right. They still have me in their life, but I don't need to feed them anymore. And I mean, it's not that. when I was younger, my one thing was being able to go to the grocery store and not have to think about what I put in the cart. To me, that was the definition of success. I could buy whatever groceries I wanted because I struggled when I had little babies. So I thought, if I could just go to the grocery store and not have the calculator out, I don't know if you've ever been there, where you put in a dollar amount and everything you put in, you subtract from the calculator. That was my life for a long time. And so success for me was throw anything in the cart and not even worry about it. So I'm way past that, but yeah.
Mine is ordering anything from the menu at a really nice restaurant.
Yes.
Yeah.
That feels so
I'm not there
awesome.
yet.
Oh, I smell a challenge.
I know, right?
There. We're going to get you there. Yeah, that's a good one. Those are great measurables, right, guys? It's not about necessarily the money, but what it feels like in that moment to go, I can order anything I want.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
not stress about it. Because you could still order anything you want and go, oh my God, I can't pay the bill.
Right, right. I mean, I was
Yeah.
there. There was a point where I was there, and it felt so good.
Yeah.
And it wasn't necessarily the most expensive thing. I just didn't need to, worry about the price. It was great.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Quick question? No? Wow. This means that we did a pretty good job.
Is that what that means?
Yes, it is. So, do you have a favorite quote?
Yeah, my favorite word in the whole world, can.
Can.
Yeah, ask me anytime in any situation. I'm a wayfinder not because I think in a way competitive and a little bit stubborn, but I just don't think that can't is a useful word in any situation.
Mm-hmm.
What was the movie that Mary Poppins just came out and she said even the impossible is possible, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's so
I just
awesome.
think that there's a way, and it may not be in the moment, but that probably will happen at some point. And that's what I would tell my clients all the time, first-time home buyers all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a matter of if, it's when.
Right.
So let's make a plan for the when.
Nice.
Yeah.
Can I ask a quick
That sounds
one,
good. Really quick.
Yeah. So what would you do different? Somebody, to expedite somebody that is coming in the business right now. What would you do different?
So what I do different? I asked that of somebody else too when I first started, or after a couple years. He said database. Get your database in order. Don't pretend you're doing it. Do it. Don't tell yourself you did it. Do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he said be impeccable with your database. If there's 10 people in it, use those 10 people, use those 10 contacts to robustly call, email, visit, send letters, work those 10 people with, what did I say? Impeccably, then add people to it. But it's not just about having a database. A lot of us say we have a database, but it's crap. It's like half done or it's incomplete. There's not information there. It's outdated. So that was on my wall. Update database. That was, of 3 things on my wall was update database. That was one of them. The second thing on my wall was write a note. Of 3 things that you could have on your wall, update your database, write a note, and the third thing was the 5-second rule. And I would Google that and watch it. There's a 5-minute and a 50-minute. Watch the 5-minute. That tells you all you need to know. But it's do it now. Because your brain, after 5 seconds, will talk you out of it. So the phone call. It's so true. When you go, I really need to call and ask for that referral. If you literally wait 5 seconds or more, your brain will tell you all the reasons in the world why you should not do that. So those were the 3 things on my wall.
I love that the top 2 are from Ignite, which, by the way, is starting soon. So
Next
I hope
week.
you guys sign up for Ignite. Great. All right. Well, thank you so much, Heidi Moran.
Thanks.